The allure and danger of blind bags. Are Image Comics blind bags and J. Scott Campbell's mystery boxes creating an unhealthy gambling aspect to comic book collecting? We dive in.
The Annihilators make their first appearance, and MCU rumors are heating up. Is this the next big thing?
And Queen and Country #1, Greg Rucka's gritty espionage masterpiece from Moni Press. Why is this a hidden gem? Find out this and all the answers to your burning questions on a new episode of Bronze and Modern Gods. Hi, Richard. Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Hey,
Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. Give us a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go right to what's happening in comics this week. Richard, these Battle Beast blind bags, you have feelings, you have thoughts, you have opinions.
You know, I love comic books. I love collecting comic books. I love most aspects of the hobby. But this trend of blind boxes, in this case, blind bags, we're having Image throughout these copies of Battle Beast, Invincible Universe Battle Beast. They're comics that are in a poly bag. You can't see what it is. You can't see what variant it is until you actually buy the comic, open the bag, and you're able to see what that variant is. Supposedly there are some secret variants that are also in this mix. It just makes this really kind of, I don't want to say slimy, but it's not in the spirit of what I consider collecting comics. It's more gambling. It's more of an aspect of chance in the whole thing.
Well, we do have a serious gambling addiction problem in this country right now with all the online gambling and sports betting and things like that, casinos. This really plays into that whole card breaks aspect, on Whatnot and live streaming, with baseball cards and collecting cards, Pokemon, where people buy these boxes and they just do breaks on a live stream. So now here it's invaded comics. I don't know. It seems a little icky to me. It's definitely not for me, but it, like you mentioned, it also kind of falls into that whole thing that have been around forever, like grab bags and mystery boxes. What's going on, J. Scott Campbell?
Yeah, J. Scott on a regular basis has a 6 comic mystery box that he sells for about $90, and he's been doing it forever, and it almost always sells out because you never know what you're going to get. I bought a number of them mainly because I just like the fun of chasing these. Some of them are signed, some of them aren't. Some of them are more valuable than others. I mean, you're never going to get like the big expensive books, but there's a nice mixture of books, and you usually get more value out of your $90 than you would get otherwise. But I don't take it very seriously. If I don't happen to get them that particular time, it's no big deal. To me, it's a very casual kind of thing. But I know some people take it very seriously and really have a lot of investment in doing these kinds of things. Mystery boxes, mystery bags, this whole concept of not knowing what you're going to get for your money until you actually get it. And this enticement of rare comics or exclusive comics that there's a chance of you getting. There's never any exposing exactly what the odds are for this. It always seems to be just kind of a nebulous thing. And I think that also plays into people's, desire to buy these mystery boxes.
I can tell you one thing. I was at Comic-Con Revolution yesterday, and you kind of have like different dealers at these conventions. Here's someone who has all the old books and bronze and silver and gold, and then you have the modern dealers. Like here's all the newest variant covers. Here's everything that came out the last few weeks that's hot. And the modern tables all had these chase variants that are in these blind bags broken out and for sale at ridiculous prices. The Marvel team up with Invincible, the foil cover, the Battle Beast, 1 in 50 or whatever it is, foil cover. They were all broken out and they were not moving. I didn't see anybody interested in them. Again, anecdotal survey of one, they may be doing well, but no one seemed to be interested in those. It's just kind of the whole thing. It's nothing new really, but it's just really seeing a resurgence these days.
Yeah, I was surprised to see it for this particular title. Really, is there that much interest in Battle Beast that it's going to generate a need for this kind of competitiveness for its rare versions? I could see if it was something a little bit more mainstream, but
well, it's an Invincible spinoff. And
Yeah.
Invincible's popular, Kirkman's popular, but who remembers the Astounding Wolfman from Kirkman? Clogging up dollar bins these days. We'll see what happens. I don't have a lot of faith in it, but we'll see. Speaking of Comic-Con Revolution, I was there yesterday. I have a little report, but I had someone join us there. So why don't we bring him on through the magic of teleportation all the way from Australia? It's our friend David from the YouTube channel, Still Only 35 Cents. Let me try.
Hey, look at this. Hi. Is that magic or what?
That is magical. Can you do that all the time?
I know.
I need a
flying all the way. No jet lag. Seriously. So David's here. By the way, this is David from Still Only 35 Cents. Great YouTube channel. If you are not subscribed and watching that, what's wrong with you? Make sure you do that. You were here for Comic-Con Revolution.
Yep, I arrived on Friday, and then the Comic-Con was on Saturday. So yeah. Give myself a bit of time to get over jet lag.
So say Ontario for me.
Ontario.
I tease David because we say it wrong, just so everybody knows. But how do they say it in Canada, Richard? We're in Toronto.
Ontario, isn't it?
Okay.
Ontario.
Why are you saying Ontario?
I was saying Ontario because I was trying to differentiate it from Ontario.
Okay. By the way, don't ever be a guest on this show because we'll just immediately start ragging on you the minute you arrive. Sorry about that.
It could be worse. I mean, I'd get everything else wrong on the street. So.
But don't worry. Trust me. Do you have a Glenn Simpson yet?
No.
Okay. By the way, we love you, Glenn. I have my impressions of the show, but you start off. Tell me yours. How was it?
I enjoyed it. Again, it's a smaller con, but I did really enjoy it in terms of the dealers that were there. I felt that the issue that they had, if they had one, was the guest list.
No, that's what the dealers were complaining about, the guest list.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Because last year, I mean, Jim Lee, or I think they had big names last year. And this year, Ron Lim, Marv Wolfman. It wasn't bad. It was more like a local show.
It felt a bit like that. And then I walked in very early on the Saturday morning, and there was a lot of people queuing for it, and so I couldn't get anything signed. So any plans I had for Ron Lim, Mark Bagley, Chris Backlow was there, Marv Wolfman queue was at the door at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. So he was the big draw, huh?
So he was the big draw.
Interesting. I think you and I saw your live stream yesterday where you talked a bit about the show. I think you and I have the same opinion when it comes to dealers and pricing. You were either in the what planet are you from? Do you know what year it is? Do you know what's going on with the economy? Can you please readdress pricing your books? Or super like dollar bin stuff packed with bargains and deals.
Yes, there was a lot of books. There was one dealer in particular who had a lot of multiples of books, and they were very affordably priced and high grade too, which was the other thing that struck me. There were two dealers in particular who had high grade books, and I made a beeline straight for them. But there was a couple of dealers that, to your point, who were very, very expensive, and they weren't particularly high grade. So they were asking like high grade prices for low grade books, and then on top of that, they weren't flexible on the pricing.
Hey, you were excited because we ran into each other at one of the booths, and you were excited because everything was half off.
Yeah.
And then I pointed out the prices that were on the books. I don't think a random issue of Fantastic Four in the 170s is a $30 book.
You did make that good. It was marked up to sell and discounts, but yes. Or they'd already marked the books up for, the comic boom and just hadn't bothered changing them.
Right. So. But I agree with you. I think there were some of the usual suspects, that we see all the time, like Christian from Melvins, who's great, and Nando from TNK. He was there.
How's the show been so far? Show's been pretty good. It's a little slower today than what we're used to seeing for the past couple of years, but it's definitely picked up in waves. I think this year's cast of people who are here to sign, people to get autographs from, I think that was a bigger pull. So I think a lot of the lines have kind of done that. And when they saw some lunch breaks happen, we definitely saw the foot traffic move our way a little bit more.
What are people asking for today?
A lot of video game books. So Sonic, Mega Man, Halo, those books were coming a lot. Any ASM, Silver Age ASM always. X-Men books we're hitting a little bit as well. But we've also seen some Batman stuff move a little bit more, and a little bit of movement on some Superman stuff.
How about slabs? Are they over? You seeing anything?
So I think for slabs, if they're priced properly and fairly where they should be, then you see them move. If you see them way overvalued, then they're going to just sit there like a museum piece. But
Like everything else.
Yeah, like everything else. But what we've seen today, I mean, you can kind of look behind the wall a little bit. We have some holes. Things have been moving, and we've been refilling them. So if there's still holes after being refilled again, that means things are moving a little bit.
I love some of these Southern California dealers. They're really good. But then some new people were there who you could tell that they were like, they had their personal collection and they didn't quite know how to display them. My heart, I felt great. I made sure I bought a couple things from those people.
Yeah.
But there were two dealers there, and you probably saw them too. Nothing was priced and nothing was organized. And I'm like, guys, how do you expect to sell any comics? And I'm not going to bring up a stack and negotiate with you.
I felt there was a couple of those booths that I filmed most of it, but it was just interesting to, especially that you could see this disorganization in some of the booths, and you were almost like, is this actually a comic book dealer, or is this just someone
personal?
just turned up?
Which I think there were people just blowing out their collections. I don't know if you talk to many dealers. I talked to a bunch. Slabs are kind of done.
Yeah, I get that sense. No one, or if they are, there was one dealer with a whole bunch of slabs. They didn't seem to be. They were getting queries, but again, they weren't flexible on the pricing. So I think that's why it's a struggle. But everyone's just buying raw.
I heard that from more than one dealer that they were not moving any slabs, and they were a little perplexed as to why. And I didn't want to go down that road with them. I just wanted to say, like, Joe, look what's going on with CGC. One dealer, he's a good friend, so I don't mind saying, Nando actually was moving slabs, TNK comics, because he was pricing them aggressively to move them.
Yeah.
And, he would put books on the wall, some slabs on the wall, and then 5 minutes later, he'd have to refill them.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, he was doing well. So I think, maybe it's not just necessarily slabs. It's just
pricing. Yeah.
It's just pricing. Yeah.
I slabbed this, therefore I'm going to ask absolute FMV for it, no matter what.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it was such a problematic. It was almost like a plethora different. What's the word I'm looking for? It was like a massive disconnect between those that were successful versus those that weren't. You could really see the foot traffic.
100%. 100%. It was crazy, Richard. You would have found some good stuff there, but you also would have been super frustrated with some of the dealers. What did you think of the crowd?
Really good.
I thought it was well attended, right?
Yeah, and I also thought some of the cosplay was good as well. It wasn't sort of WonderCon standards, obviously, but it was still, you got a lot of people turning up and really making an effort. So, for a smaller con, it felt very busy, which I took as a positive sign. I didn't go. I was planning to go today,
right,
which is Sunday or Monday now.
Right now, let's just say it's Monday. At noon
I was
Pacific.
planning to go yesterday.
This isn't recorded, honestly.
Yeah, so I was planning to go on Sunday, but I decided not to go.
Yeah, I thought I got it out of the way. I think it took me a good 2 hours to go to every booth, and then another hour to kind of do some negotiations and stuff like that.
Yeah. I spent 2 hours on that one store that you told me about, which interestingly, Richard, there was the book that John had picked up. Which one was that book?
Do you remember? Was it San Diego? Or no, it was at WonderCon when I told the story. You guys in the chat here where I was going to buy a Thor first appearance of Fire Lord,
Right.
And it was priced well, and I was like, can I take a look at it? The guy was like, I'm sure. Let me take it out for you and everything. And I flipped right to the Marvel value stamp, and the Marvel value stamp was cut out, and the poor guy's face fell like, crap. But you went there, the same dealer, and you had a different experience.
Yeah, I had a great experience with that dealer. And again, they were discounting all books by 50% in these bins.
He was aggressive. I was just there, and he was like, everything's negotiable.
Yeah, and then I had an additional discount after that 50% as well, which was so it ended up being a good day in terms of value for money, if there is such a thing in comic books.
Yeah. And mistakes happen. I mean, I've missed stuff on books too, so I don't hold it against the guy. I just didn't see anything there that a lot of keys, like big keys. Do we care about big keys anymore?
A lot of big keys, but I managed to get a lot of obscure stuff from that booth. Yeah. Not obscure, but just stuff that other people are looking for, but really high grade. So that was a bonus.
I bought a few things. David bought a few things, so we thought we would do show and tell with you, Richard. You want to start?
Me?
Yeah.
Start? Okay. Well, here's a book everybody knows, and this is a book for a question for the audience. It's Miracle Man #1. Okay.
But you've never shown this before.
I know, but here's the reason why I'm showing it. The first 1,000 have a flaw in the cover. This book and the first 1,000 were used to do the gold and blue editions of the books. The gold signed by Alan Moore and the blue signed by I can never pronounce Kat's last name. You're
Ironwood.
Ironwood. Okay, it's not spelled like Ironwood, but
it's very fancy.
Very fancy. Yes. Anyway, this copy has. I'm trying to highlight it right there. It has the flaw in the cover right there. You can see that little.
Almost like a printer's crease.
Right there in the cover.
Or as dealers used to call those, nutsack creases.
Don't make me laugh. Anyway, my question is: does anyone know if it's more than just the first 1,000 that have that flaw? This is. I checked it. It does not have. I have one of the gold, and right there on the first page, Alan Moore signed it, and I've seen the Cat Ironwood one where she signed it. The blues are not individually numbered, while the golds are. Just curious, because I thought that flaw was limited to that very first print run, and it was corrected in later print runs. But there it is, there in the cover, and if it's there, CGC probably won't ding you for it because it is a known manufacturer error. Just curious if anyone knows anything more about Miracle Man #1 and issues or copies after the first 1,000. I'd just like to know from my own personal.
I'll check my. I've got a couple of copies of that, so I will check that as well. But I didn't even know about the issue.
Oh yeah. You see it very clearly.
Okay, because I'm looking for the gold one.
I happen to have one.
I have 2 and up. Andy, I happen to have these here. I wonder if there was something with the paper or something on the plate that was causing that depression. Would this be an example of a printing flaw that is visually distracting and detracting, making the book more valuable?
It's CGC. I would imagine CGC will ding you though. But
if it's a production flaw, though, I don't know. That's a good question. Or chat, hit it up. Let us know. David, go ahead and show us what you got. Sure. We're going to try something new here. There we go. Watch this.
Ooh, top-down view.
Wow.
Wow, look at this. So this is Spider-Woman 50. This is the last issue of the series, which I picked up yesterday. Not yesterday. Which I picked up.
You can say it.
Which I picked up at Comic-Con Revolution from that said dealer. And it's a fabulous photo cover, which features all of the ballpen at the time. and I don't remember who each one is, but all of these essentially it was all photoshopped. And there's an interesting article you can find online where you get to see how they created this cover. So as soon as I heard about this, I needed to pick it up.
I believe one of them is Mark Grunwald.
Yes.
And Elliot Brown took the picture, I believe. And there's a whole bunch of, like, is Ann Nesenti one of the?
I think so.
Gypsy Moth or something. Everybody who has like great bodies to wear those costumes for being comic book creators.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's also just quite a stunning.
Yeah,
I think the photo covers from the 80s. It's the one that really stands out to me, and the others can be a little bit dodgy.
Yeah, I think the worst one is the Marvel team up one with Spider-Man and Captain America with Joe Jusko as Captain America. It's just lit really harshly, but this one's really well done. I mean, look at the composition with Spider-Woman along the side.
And I love the Spider-Woman in the corner box. Like the fun realistic.
Richard, I think you have an assignment. Awesome. That's a good one. Can you replace it with this one? Sorry, everybody. I'm going to stop the superhero train. It is 4-Color Comics number 1010, a.k.a. Quick Draw McGraw number 1, the first appearance of Quick Draw McGraw and Baba Louie, a.k.a. Baba Booey. If you know, you know. I had to get this as a Howard Stern fan because... Do you know the story about Baba Booey, how the name Baba Booey came about? Either one. His producer, Gary Delabate, is a huge animation fan, was a huge animation fan. He was buying original cells, and he bought an original cell featuring Baba Louie. But when he was talking about it on the show, they were making fun of him for buying cartoon cells. He called this character Baba Booey. And they're like, wait, what did you say? They're like, Baba Booey. It's Quick Draw McGraw and Baba Booey. They're like, you bought this. You spent all this money. You don't even know the character's name. The character's name is Baba Louie. So that's where Baba Booey came from.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And not only a Hanna-Barbera fan, I had to get this, but as a Howard Stern fan, this is the origin of Baba Booey.
It's in good shape, too.
Yeah. I haven't touched it yet. I would say as is, it's a 7.0. When I'm done with it, it's going to be better. So we'll see.
Okay, my next book. Everyone knows Rogue from the X-Men. Modern knowledge of her is as a hero. But here's where she was in the X-Men as a villain. People may not remember, but her originally she was much older, and she was drawn as a younger person over time, apparently. But here she was a villain fighting the X-Men. It wasn't until 171, I believe it was, that when she actually joined the X-Men, because she wanted Professor X to teach her how to control her powers. Her powers were just, she had to wear gloves, and if she touched someone, she absorbed their powers and she absorbed their memories. And it was a horrible thing for her as a person. So, but this is back when she was a villain. I also really enjoy the corner box because they're going crazy on that thing.
It's a nutso corner. Forget your floating heads, Burn.
But yeah, so this is a cool book, cool cover.
What do we think of the second Cockrum run?
It derailed me from the X-Men because I was so used to Byrne and Austin at that point, and it took me a while to really appreciate it again. And I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. But at the time, I was just I was very excited when John Romita Jr. took over, which again is now gone. Paul Smith before John Romita. That's correct. Yes,
that's got me excited.
But yeah, that's the third appearance of Rogue.
I believe it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When she's drawn in the Frank Springer old crone style. And this is a good example of what I had a problem with Cockrum's second run. God bless him. Pull it back a little bit, Richard. He started this thing with his style where everyone looked flat. Look at how flat Wolverine looks. Mm-hmm. Like this big, he would draw these chests like very wide, but flat.
Yeah,
there's no depth to it, and I don't know what happened to his style there. But yeah, it's not the Cockrum from the Legion for sure. No. It's not even the Cockrum from the first X-Men.
No. But it's still, I still appreciate it because it's it's X-Men. So
can't.
there just wasn't as many characters. I think he didn't get his creative juices flowing because he wasn't creating that many characters.
I wonder if he wasn't in the driver's seat anymore,
right?
Like he was at the beginning. Claremont is now. I'm in charge now. I finally got rid of that John Byrne.
Yeah. Who knows? I bought one. So I love my Marvel Ages. And I brought this one along because I thought it would be a good one to share, given your interest in this character.
Play that clip.
Eddie, which is your favorite Greek superstar?
You know it's Hercules, 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 Hercules.
All right.
So yeah, I hadn't got this one. I saw it and Bob Layton cover here, and I just love the Marvel Ages, and I didn't pay $15. It was the $7.
Was that the guy that I was?
That was the guy.
So okay, here's an example. Everything's half off. He had Marvel Age number 4 priced for $15.
But as I say, it's missing from the PC, so I had to get it. And yeah, it's just a great. I love this cover as well.
You stumped me. You found a Hercules cover I've never seen before and had no idea. So good job.
There you go.
Holy crap! Add that to the list. All right, one I can check off my list. It's something a little different for me. It is Quick Draw McGraw #1 from Charlton Comics. This is the first issue of the Charlton run of Quick Draw McGraw from the same dealer who saw me coming. Boy, he saw me. He was like, I got you, buddy. And it's nice for a Charlton Hanna-Barbera book from 1969, 1970. I would say it's a 6.5-ish. Needs a clean, needs a big press, but just gorgeous.
Yeah, really good. As I say, I was looking for Hanna-Barbera books whilst I was there, but the Marvel issues, later issues,
right?
Again, lucky enough, there were books there. It's they're hard to find, and actually getting a dealer that had them is always good. So seeing a Charlton one as well.
Yeah, I mean, for a Charlton, this is a 9.8.
Yeah,
good stuff.
I've never really been into the whole Hanna-Barbera stuff. So my next book is Dastardly and Muttley.
Where did you get that? By the way, the actual title is Hanna-Barbera Fun-In.
Oh, excuse me. Hanna-Barbera Fun-In, starring Dastardly and Muttley. I used to love this cartoon. It was a great cartoon.
How dare you?
Pit stuff down there at the bottom. There's a backup story. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember where I found this. I've had this for a while, and this is like, you talk about condition, and this is a really, really sharp book, which is surprising.
Nice. We were just having this conversation before we went on, Richard. Tell
in terms of the Hanna-Barbera,
about superhero comics and how it doesn't give us the same charge it used to.
Yeah,
and that's why we're looking for these
yeah.
Hanna-Barbera things now. So it's funny that you brought that up.
And it's more. So I saw one of the dealers was selling envelopes, Marvel stationery envelopes from the 70s as well. Like, so I'm starting to get into really obscure things like that.
Ephemera.
Yeah. So great seeing that book. Didn't that series? I used to watch it the same as you, Richard. It's like the thing. I always felt like there were totally different episodes, and they went on forever, and there was multiples. But there was only my understanding is only one season.
Only one season of Wacky Races.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man, Wacky Races reminds me of buying boxes of cereal and digging into them to get the actual toy, which was the car, and putting it together. It reminds me of that part of childhood, and that's why I like Hanna-Barbera, because I was a kid when those shows are on TV.
Would you get it graded?
Nowadays, I don't know. It's
still slabbing? No. Although it depends on the book, but I can't ship it from Australia at the moment.
Right.
That's a problem.
This is probably an 8.0. I don't know. If I had a stack of other books that I was grading, I might throw it in. I wouldn't get it graded by itself, but yeah I could see, one more book at $50 a book. Yes, Gold Key. Yeah,
Gold Keys are tough books to get in high grade, right?
Oh yeah. They were kids' books, and kids read them, and You know, I think the only person that was setting them aside and making sure they looked okay was Mark Evanier, and he was writing half of them. You're next, right?
I think so.
All right.
In honor of Richard, Dr. Doom and the Red Skull supervillain team up. Now, you'll probably know of my mission to try and collect as many of my namesake, or I'm the namesake, still only 35 cents, because this is the only one of that run that is still only 35-cent book. So had to pick that one up. And again, it was relatively like $10, and that one was $10 because that was the other dealer. But yeah, I'm happy to pick that up. A whole stack of still only 35-cent books were there, and I've managed to sort of knock a few off the list. But the still only 35-cent run essentially went for 5 months over the, I think, 1978. And yeah, like I'm trying to collect every single one. So this is another one ticked off the list, but a great Doctor Doom cover again with the Red Skull smashing him to smithereens.
It's a reprint of the Astonishing Tales story where they met that I showed a couple weeks ago. But this is a much better cover. The Astonishing Tale cover, if you remember, has the Red Skull clocking Dr. Doom with a wrench. Here he's like completely obliterating the guy. So a little better.
Of course, it's the Doombot.
Well, I went in a much different direction for my last show and tell book, and it is Supervillain Team Up number 5. The first appearance of the Shroud. And someone had it for $5. And they had it for half off. So I got what, in mint condition, near mint, is like a $30 book for $2.50.
Wow.
So deals were to be had. Now, it is not a mint condition copy, but I love the Shroud when I was a kid. I guess I was thick. I didn't realize it was Batman. It was basically Marvel's Batman. I just thought he was a cool character. I liked it when he was in Spider-Woman. I liked him when he was in Supervillain Team Up. He was the reason I read Supervillain Team Up. I didn't care for Namor or Doctor Doom.
But it's great. I mean, again, you got that for $2, right?
$2.50.
$2.50 from the same dealer?
No, this was from a guy that I got the sense that he was selling his personal collection, his PC, which there were more than one that I kind of got that. Is that like the new wave, Richard?
Could be. I mean, people may be downsizing their collection.
Yeah. Who knows? I've done a couple of conventions myself, not downsizing yet,
right?
But yeah, I could see that being a thing.
Yeah. Well, we're doing one next weekend with some of our PC stuff. So there you go. So thank you, David. Thanks for joining. Tell everybody where they can find you again, please.
Thank you. Yes. So still only 35 cents. My YouTube channel. I do weekly videos and one weekly live stream. So join me to talk about vintage comics, surprisingly.
Excellent. I think our audience definitely will like it. Thanks again for being here. And I'm going to help you get back to Melbourne super fast with no jet lag. Ready?
Thank you, David. Always good to have him here. Look, not only can I teleport him back and forth to Melbourne, I can also teleport back and forth from the office from my dining room.
It's a talent.
Thank you. Hey, let's go to our hot book of the week. Richard, tell us all about it.
Hot book this week is Thanos Imperative, Devastation #1, a mouthful, from Marvel back in 2011.
Oh, I know this.
First appearance of the Annihilators team, which this is right up John's alley. It's got Wendell Vaughn as Quasar, you got Beta Ray Bill, you've got Gladiator, you've got Richard Rider Nova, the Silver Surfer, and Ronin.
I mean, I loved all this Abbott Lanning cosmic stuff from the 2010s, early 2000s. This is great. I'm glad to see this getting a little bit of heat.
Yeah, I guess there's a rumor of an MCU movie this week. I'll take it with a grain of salt, but a movie with Beta Ray Bill and Quasar, that's something for everybody.
And Richard Rider Nova.
Yeah.
The only Nova, by the way.
Raws for this book is going between $15 and $30 on eBay, depending on quality. Sorry. But like I said, honestly, I don't give a whole lot of credence. Marvel just came out of a super team movie with Thunderbolts, Do you think they would turn around and do another one the following year? That just seems to be a hard pill to swallow. But I would love for it to be true.
Well, how long did it take Thunderbolts, though? It may be, we're looking at 2030 at this point. God, did I just say that out loud?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I'm excited because it's just a great read. And I love seeing books that are good reads get a little traction. Hopefully someone will crack it open and actually dare to read it. Hope springs eternal when it comes to that. I was going to change to the show and tell screen, but we just did show and tell.
Right.
So let's just change anyway. What do you say?
Okay.
It's no longer the show and tell screen. It is the, hey, become a member and support the show screen. $2.99 a month. We have rollicking live streams on Thursdays for members only that are 90 minutes plus. When I say rollicking, I mean we have some debates. We have some serious discussion with the chat. You can join us, members, as a special guest and do show and tell with us. All you have to do is hit join next to the subscribe button below. As you see your name fly by here, you go, ooh, that's me. And we will pivot to everyone's favorite segment, viewer mail.
You've got mail.
Is it everyone's favorite segment, Richard?
Somebody's favorite segment.
Okay, what is your first piece of viewer mail?
My first piece is from River Rambler. Talking about adventure comics, and especially the Legion. All adventure comics are pretty affordable, but 300 to 380, which of course is the Legion sweet spot, are easily the cheapest to hunt down. That 80 issue run is completely Legion focused. While I collect Adventure 250 and up, 300 to 380 is the best run in there. Yeah, I agree. It's the Legion stories. If you like 60s superheroes, that campy kind of there's no dark knight kind of feel of any of this stuff. It is the campy 60s comic books. The Legion is the best there is. I mean, you get this huge cast of characters, and they're all off doing these wacky adventures, facing monsters and villains that are just off the wall. And it's just fun. It's just enjoyable. And the fact that you can still get that run for a reasonable amount of money and be a part of that kind of storytelling, I think is one of the best bargains in superhero comics.
I would counter that a little bit. I don't know if it's as campy as the other superhero titles from DC at the time. I think when Shooter comes on, it actually becomes a little more drama, and the death of Pharaoh Lad. I mean, someone died, a Legionnaire died.
I stayed dead.
Yeah, probably along with Doom Patrol, one of the more Marvel flavored DC titles. But I hear what you're saying. You Computo, giant computer with tentacle arms. My first piece of viewer mail comes from our email at bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com from Glenn S. More stuff about the Legion. Hello, John and Richard. Thanks for showing an issue of one of my favorite series, Adventure Comics, featuring the Legion of Superheroes. I know from previous episodes, Richard is a fan of the Legion. I have been a fan and collected the series since the early 60s and own most of the adventure run. I'm missing a few of the early issues, but I'm working on acquiring those. I wanted to point out that the issue John showed in your latest episode was not written by Jim Shooter, as John mentioned, but Edmund Hamilton, who penned most of the early Legion stories. Jim Shooter's first published story was in the next issue, 346, when, as a 14-year-old, he introduced 4 new Legion members: Karate Kid, Pharaoh Lad, Princess Projectra, and Nemesis Kid. He also introduced the Kuns, an alien race who intended to invade and conquer Earth, and whose backstory was later expanded upon by Paul Levitz and Keith Giffen, and became important characters in Legion lore. Mr. Shooter actually drew that story, but DC editor Mort Weisinger had artist Sheldon Moldoff clean up and ink the story, which had a very strong resemblance to a Kurt Swan's art. As you know, Kurt eventually drew many of Shooter's Legion stories later. I also have most of the Legion's other series, the 5 years later reboot, the 3-boot, Jeff Johns reboot, and even the Brian Michael Bendis reboot, which is best left forgotten. The good news is Mark Waid is supposed to be bringing the Legion back sometime in the near future, hopefully a version of the Silver Age team, which remains my favorite. Regards, Glenn S. Glenn, you summed it up, man.
Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing to add to that except for thanks for catching my boo-boo. I was one issue off. Darn it.
Now, can you imagine being 14 years old and having an effect on the medium you love and the way that Shooter had? This is mind-blowing.
First, Shooter says he's 13 when he starts, so I don't know. The truth might lie somewhere in between. I think it's like the ignorance of youth. And by saying that, I mean, you don't know how monumental and weird and out of the norm things are when you're doing them when you're 13 years old or even 18 or 20. It's like the impertinence of youth. You just go for it with no regard. And I kind of miss that about myself. I was really, I trampled through some things, unfortunately, looking back, but nothing stopped me.
No, it's sometimes that boldness is how you make a mark.
Yeah. Speaking of making a mark, your next piece of viewer mail really left a mark on me in terms of how I felt. But you go ahead and go for it.
My next piece is from T23790. I aged out about around after Avengers Endgame. I'm not just into superheroes anymore. I still watch sports, but for some reason the comic books don't excite me.
What do you think?
Endgame is, to me, a logical demarcation, right? It was the end of all the story arcs from the MCU to date. It was this monumental conclusion to those stories. And it kind of left the MCU floundering. Tony Stark is gone. The Avengers are split up. There was no direct, continuation of it. And we've seen starts and sputters from the MCU, at least in my opinion, ever since. We've never had that same kind of momentum. So I could definitely see it as a point where you would jump off the MCU train. As far as not being into superheroes, I have to admit, the stuff that I've been interested in, the stuff that you'll see me pick for underrated books and things like that, are not superhero stories anymore. I tend to gravitate towards things that are more gritty or more real, more indie books, more storytelling. Pardon?
Gritty and real. Penelope Pitstop.
Penelope Pitstop. She is amazingly gritty. Don't knock Penelope.
I'm telling you.
But no, I mean it's more. It's either nostalgic or storytelling. That's what I'm into now, and it doesn't have to be superheroes. Sometimes it is, but it doesn't always have to be.
This comment really resonated with me because I don't want to say it's dumb to say I've outgrown superheroes because I'm in my 50s, for God's sake. But and also I've outgrown superheroes, but I'm buying Yogi Bear and Quick Draw McGraw, something much more mature. How many copies of Incredible Hulk 181 do I need to see? I think it's just the same old, and I don't begrudge younger collectors. Absolutely. This is, it's like NBC used to say when they would have rerun season, it's new to you. Which, great. So I get that. It's just, where are we pivoting? I think this generation, Gen X, we're just kind of pivoting a little bit. We'll see what happens. It's an interesting time in the hobby. From our email at bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com, from our buddy John Kasdorf. John, I'm going to edit this a bit. John and Richard and John, Gods of Bronze, more modernity. And another enjoyable, informative episode. Great show. Please do keep discussing comic logos. Okay, we have our first affirmative. It's always interesting to hear what you have to say about a comic's trade dress, whether it's good, stinko, or completely forgettable. As a graphic designer, I'm 100% biased, but I don't think enough attention is given to the design and branding involved in comics. Absolutely. When it's bad, you notice. Boy, do you guys notice. You always have a few words to say about the covers you show, and I think logo design and typography can make or break a comic cover. I'd like to hear what you think about the Virgin variants trend, by the way. Maybe it's just me, but without the trade dress, they don't feel like real comic books. And then John goes on with many, many good points, but we have some time here, time issues. John, I'm glad to hear you support my constant ragging on the logos and trade dresses of these books, along with Richard. You said it perfectly. If you notice it's bad, it's a problem. I think you have accountants and bean counters in charge that don't want to spend money on these branding things that are very important. The Superman logo. Think about the Superman logo, that arched classic logo. That means something. The Batman logo, the original Batman logo. When you have brand equity like this, okay, great example. Max. HBO Go, HBO Max. Then they changed it to just Max. And everybody goes, why are you getting rid of HBO?
Right.
Max? It's an important brand. So guess what? 2 years later, we're going back to HBO Max. Of course, the guy who made all these decisions gets to keep his job. He gets multi-million-dollar bonuses. He doesn't have to suffer for making stupid decisions like this. But that just shows you the importance of branding. These logos are branding, and they mean something to people. The Avengers logo. What Avengers logo did the MCU use? Did they use the Avengers logo that's currently on the books? No, they used that classic 1970s, 80s Avengers logo, right?
Right. And I agree. Branding is so important. Think about it. If you saw the X-Men, everyone knows the X-Men logo. If somebody uses different letters other than X-Men, but uses that same style, you immediately associate it with the X-Men. I mean, the branding, the typography, the logo style is so tied to the X-Men brand. You don't give up that kind of recognition when it's so strong. It doesn't take you talking about it's an expensive thing. To me, it's a one-time cost. You do branding well up front, and it pays dividends for the rest of that particular IP's life. So I just don't know. I don't understand why they're so reluctant to spend a little bit of money up front for these titles, knowing they're going to be in print for an extended period of time.
Jim Steranko created that X-Men logo with X-Men 50. And here we are 60, almost 70 years later, and it's still in use. So that just tells you the power of these things. Don't discount it. What do you think of version covers, like he's asking?
Oh, I have love-hate relationship. Some covers, the artwork is accented, is highlighted when you have no trade dress. Like I'm gonna pull this book. Here's God Emperor Doom, right? This is Secret Wars #4. I appreciate this cover more without the trade dress. I think it's a piece of artwork here. But the problem I have with Virgin covers is they are so unimaginative. You take a regular covered copy that has trade dress, you pull the trade dress from it, bingo bango, it's automatically worth more money than the original. From that standpoint, I think it's kind of a lazy way of being able to highlight something. I would much rather have, if you're going to do a Virgin copy, instead of doing a version of one that has a trade dress, do a different cover, do a different artwork without the trade dress. I think that would give more value to it than just simply, hiding the trade dress plate on the.
Well, keep that up for me. Here's my problem with it. That was designed to have a logo at the top. So now you just have
one spot there.
The top third is just dead space now. So do a different version of the cover if you're going to do it.
Please. Yes, that would be amazing. And I think you would have more justification of selling those these Virgin copies, because they did have original art or different art than the trade dress version. And that would give me more reason. I hate more than anything trade dress and Virgin being sold at the same time, and the only difference is the lack of that trade dress, and the value of the Virgin is higher. It's nonsensical to me.
You know what didn't exist in the early 2000s?
What's that?
Virgin variants. Did they?
You tried reaching for that segue.
Pronounced statements in order to have a segue to what we call the 25-year rule, where we go back to 2000, 25 years ago. What is a 25-year rule, you say? It is the rule that people 25 years after their youth want to reclaim their youth. Hence, they start buying it again 25 years later. Richard, you picked this Interesting pick.
Yeah, my pick this week is Queen and Country from Oni Press back in 2000. It introduces Tara Chase, who is a intelligence operative for the British Secret Service, MI6, basically. It's a realistic story, and it's grounded in real, Secret Service spy work, and it's a very gray world where it's a dangerous and morally complex world of covert operations. It showcases Greg Rucka's writing, which is very, very sharp, very to the point, and Steve Rolston's original artwork, which is all in black and white, and it's different from what you would see in superhero book, as we've been talking about. This first issue lays the foundation for the series. It goes for about $50 on eBay right now for number one, but there's also a free comic book version of it, which is the exact same artwork. So be careful about that. You'll know it's a free comic book because it has a little white square at the bottom for the store stamp. But it's a very interesting story. If you get a chance to read it and you want to read something that's different from the superhero slant of things, really interesting story, and I recommend you take a look at it.
I'm shocked at how much this book goes for.
Really?
You have here in the notes, issue 1 runs for about $50 on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a movie or something announced?
Not that I know of.
Wow.
That's a good thing. Good question.
Rucka fans out there, I guess. You guys tell us, why is this book so in demand? I mean, I'm sure it's great, but how many indies from the year 2000, the first issue goes for $50 without a TV or movie? By the way, there are several movies and TV shows called Queen and Country. They just have to do with the monarchy and Queen Elizabeth and things like that. Moving on to our underrated books of the week. Richard, I have one here that I think it's the first for us after 5+ years. Is this the first time I featured a Charlton comic as the underrated book of the week?
Is it really?
I would love to ask Gemini AI using our show notes, but Gemini AI goes, I don't know how to do that. You're
really bitter about that, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not going to let it go. Captain Atom number 82 from Charlton Comics, 1966. This is the first appearance of Nightshade. You know her as Eve Eden or Nightshade. She was a key character in this Charlton superhero universe they were building in the mid-60s, but she later became a significant part of DC's Suicide Squad and the Shadow Pact. Where is Evan when you need him? Illustrated by the legendary Steve Ditko. This is also a must-have for Ditko fans. And as a Charlton character, Captain Atom and Nightshade were later absorbed into DC's multiverse during Crisis of Infinite Earths, and they became foundational. I mean, Captain Atom was in Justice League International. Of course, as I said, Nightshade was a big part of Suicide Squad, that original John Ostrander run for a long time. Now, despite its importance in Charlton and DC history, it's really an affordable book. Recent high grade sale was for a CGC 8.5, which went for $315 last month. And I think Charlton 8.5 is what on the scale, a 10.7 on the Marvel scale. I just invented a new grade, 10.7.
Why not? CGC seems to like to do that.
Right. Now, I just said how I have superhero fatigue. Not when it comes to the Charlton stuff. I love the Blue Beetle and the Captain Atom stuff, so I'm working on those runs. I think it's the thrill of the hunt.
Always.
Yeah. Always. What's your underrated book of the week?
My pick this week is Reed Fleming's World's Toughest Milkman, number 1, from back in 1980.
Love it.
This is classic comics with an X. I love this stuff. Reed Fleming, World's fiercest or toughest milkman, fiercely protects his delivery territory with gusto. It's absurd humor, really strange scenarios that the main character gets in. David Boswell's distinctive black and white artwork amplifies the unique comedy style of the book. It's not haha funny in the way that, you know, joke telling kind of funny. It's more situationally funny. And there's a lot of working class pride, and you know, they're battling authority figures in the stories. And it's apparently it's a beloved Canadian cult comic, cult classic comic, and it had been features in collections. I know there was a Image hardcover bound available, which is pretty cool. The first printing actually had 10,000 copies to the first printing. And you can recognize the first printing by the price on the cover. You see in the sample, it's $2. In the second printing, it goes to $2.50, and later printings, it goes off to $2.95. Kind of like Love and Rockets, the way it went, or the way that Cherry Pop-Tart went as pricing. As later prints came out, they actually decided they want to make a profit and increase the price. IDW printed, that's what it was. IDW printed a collection of this book. If you're interested in reading the series as opposed to just in the first issue, it's I want to say it's an acquired taste. It's definitely something that if you're hardcore into superheroes, you may not enjoy, but if you're more flexible in your reading habits, I would give it a try.
I loved it. It's kind of like Flaming Carrot. You have to have a certain sensibility in order to really enjoy it. I love the fact, I don't know if it was intentional, Reed Fleming looks like Harvey Pekar.
He does. Yes.
American Splendor. And I love this pick. I love this book. It was one of those things that I would order at the shop, and there would be like 3 or 4 people. You were probably one of them that would pick it up. It's a great book.
Yeah, I was looking at pricing. I tried to put a pricing along with it. It's the first print is tough. There are no copies of the first print on eBay. So I was really having a hard time trying to get a read into the value. The later prints are available, and they're about $30-$40 if you're interested in high grade copies. But for a print run of 10,000 for a book like this, you would think you would see at least some. I mean, you see Cherry Pop-Tarts, and it had a smaller print run. So I was just curious if anybody out there has a copy of this book, especially in high grade. Let us know.
One thing I noticed yesterday at Comic-Con Revolution here, not more than one, a couple of dealers actually had boxes of 80s indies. Separate and pulled out in the front, and one guy had like almost a full run of the Kamiko's Elementals, all the way to the sex specials at the end. He had an Elementals #1 for $10, and I almost bought it.
Wow.
I should have bought it. That tells me I should have bought it for you, right? Crap. Maybe next time. Speaking of next time, we will see you next time, and we will see you together in Cleveland, Ohio next Monday for the show. All of us in the same room, so that's something to look forward to. Members, we will see you before then for the Thursday night live stream and chat. Make sure you join us then.
Yep, everybody, stay safe.